recorded, then just keep your camera and mics off. Okay, we have some people in India. I believe it's 9:30 p.m., so thanks for joining me so late there. Some people tuning in from Nigeria and the UK. I think those are similar time zones, like 5 p.m. Okay, perfect. I'm just gonna get started. I have some slides ready, and then I'll leave it to our guest Daniel to introduce himself. Let me present the slides now. All right. Oh, where did my slides go? Okay. But hopefully you all know a little bit about entry level already. But hold on. I'm just presenting. I'm figuring out how to screen share. There we go. Can everybody see that? It says it's loading. Okay, good. Okay. Um, so basically a little bit about entry level. We help you learn and get experience so you can get hired. Hopefully you've taken 1 or 2 courses by us. These are all of the courses we have available. It's all in tech. Some rules before we start, please be respectful and don't spam the chat. You can ask us questions in the chat and I'll collect them to ask our guest Daniel later. And keep your mics muted just so we can hear the speaker. I also want to hear what level you're at so we can tailor the content to you so it can be the most helpful. So please put in the chat if you're number 1, a complete beginner, number 2, if you've taken a few courses, number 3, you've already got an internship in tech, or number 4, you're currently working full-time in tech. So it looks like people are complete beginners. Okay. So maybe we can keep that in mind for the Q&A for Daniel. Okay, let me move on. A little bit about entry level. We want to reskill 1 billion people by 2030. And by being here, you're helping us with our mission. So if you end up landing a tech job you love after this, you're helping us fulfill our mission. Ooh, someone's taking a course with entry level already. That's awesome. Let me know which one, and we can try and tailor the session to that. These are some of our available courses right now. It's all mostly in tech. And all of our courses, you get a certificate, a portfolio project, so it's very hands-on and feedback from our community. Okay, so that's enough about entry level. Daniel, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi Jennifer. Okay, I'm Daniel. I am a people management specialist and a technical recruiter with about half a decade of experience. I started out, I usually say this, that I started out my career as a volunteer, and it amazed me how beautiful that action I took helped me to land like my first big job. Then I've gone from working with consulting down to working with fintechs and also helping different startups to get built from 0 to 1. So some of the things I've done is working with different startups and different industries, help them get the right talent for their organizations and all that stuff. So basically, that's like my experience in a nutshell. Outside that, I do a lot around career coaching and soft skill coaching as well.
Wow, that's amazing. Wow, you sound like you have so much experience, and I have a lot of questions for you. But let's start with, this is a common question you get all the time, but can you really break into tech with a non-tech background as a beginner?
Yeah. So let me break this. The truth is, most of the very wonderful talent I've worked with in tech are usually from a non-tech background. Now, I'm not saying that if you are from a non-tech background, you can't do great. You will definitely be great at it. But I'm just saying this for those that feel that, oh, you must have a tech background to at least thrive in a tech system. That has not been the case from my experience. And most of the people that I've worked with, most of the people that have been on projects and deliver on projects, and they have done so well for themselves and only for the project that we worked on, never had a tech background.
Wow, that's amazing. But like, how does that work? How can you break into tech starting from a non-tech background?
Thank you. Basically it's one thing that the tech ecosystem brings is learning. Yeah. As much as possible, once as you're able to discover your niche, once as you're able to discover the area in tech that you want to pursue, learning is just what that will help you give you leverage, just like entry level is offering. Yeah. As much as you can take courses and build yourself on them. I was just going through entry level and I saw one thing that caught my interest is the fact that they don't just have a course that you take and have a certificate, but they also help you to build portfolio by giving tasks that are portfolio driven. And for me, that is like the best criteria to get your feet in a tech ecosystem or getting into the tech industry.
Oh my gosh, that's what a lot of our students who've gotten jobs after taking a course say. They said is hands-on. The portfolio helps them stand out and be more confident in interviews. So thank you. That's so good to hear. Um, do you have any recommendations for what people can do to make their portfolio great and their projects great?
So for me, portfolio building is not just about having a domain with a link that you could share whenever you are looking for job. No, I think it is a very intentional process, yeah, where you know what you want, you know where you are going, you know um, the kind of industry you want to work in, and what they need in those industries, and you are building portfolios around those things that can make you stand out, right? So for me, it's an intentional act. It's not just building a landing page because you want to build, but you are building to the point where it can catch the interest of a hiring manager. So for me, building portfolios are something that should be intentionally done. Yeah. Either you are making use of taxes that has been given to you by entry level, or you are going on GitHub to look for an open source, project to jump on, or you are, designing or redesigning products, yeah, that are already out there just to make sure that you have, maybe if you're a designer or whatever. And for me, I think that it is a very intentional act. And going by that means that you should be intentional about the project you want to work on. You should be intentional about the kind of portfolio you want to build so as to catch the interest of hiring managers.
That's a very good point because a lot of portfolios are very general. So if you're very specific about what you want, you'll be happier with the job that you're going for. But how do you know exactly what you want? Because a lot of people, they're interested in multiple different fields, and how do you pick the best one for you?
So now this, I want to understand the question. Is it from the point of the learner building a portfolio or from the point of a hiring manager?
From the learner. So before you even build a portfolio, how do you know which field you want to make your portfolio in, like data analyst versus financial analyst versus venture capital analyst?
So I think that should start from the point of knowing what you want to do first. Yeah. Knowing the niche you have decided to pick for yourself in the tech ecosystem. The ecosystem is a very broad ecosystem. Yeah. You're probably writing code or you're not writing code, but somehow you're in the ecosystem. So it's broad. So I think the first assignment is to try to understand the length and breadth of the ecosystem. Then from there, you now pick a niche for yourself. Yeah. So at least you have a focus. So sometimes I say data analyst. Data analyst sometimes can be ambiguous. Yeah. It can still be broken down to very interesting aspect. Yeah. Just like you mentioned, there are financial analysts, there is venture capital analysts, and all those stuff. So you could play around with all those things. So when you get to understand what the industry is about, the more you break your interest to smaller units. Yeah. So by the time you get those smaller units to understand that this is where I want to play around, then you now understand that this will guide your choice of even courses you will take. It will guide your choice of projects you will be building or working on, how your portfolio will look like, what are the kind of things I would like to work on for my portfolio, what are the kind of case study I want to jump on for my portfolio, because all this will help. For example, as a financial analyst, I'm expecting that you should be playing around with some kind of data as it relates to monetary stuffs, working with different kind of data as it plays around banks and financial institutions. Yeah, because I think that is related to what you want to do. Yeah, not just looking for data wherever they may be, or data in geography, or because everywhere we have data, yeah, or data in maybe sociology or whatsoever. Those are wonderful, yeah, but because you know what you want, you should be able to choose your case study and know what you're working on. So for me, having to choose what you want to work on start as far back as knowing what you want for yourself generally, the niche you want, and breaking those niche into smaller units.
Wow, that's amazing. So it's really about knowing yourself so that you can
Basically.
know what to put in your portfolio and get hired. But what's the best way to do that research to find out about all these niches?
Okay, great. So I'll give more like um my personal experience, picking up a career. I think one of the things I do when I get to face choices, right? Or when I'm in that place where I need to make a choice, I do what I call the personal SWOT analysis. Yeah. My strength, weakness, opportunity, and threat. So I do that for myself a lot, where I have to carry out a personal SWOT analysis as it regards to that particular phenomenon or whatever I'm trying to, pick from. So when I carried out my SWOT analysis in people management, yeah, in HR, and I realized that this is where I sit on, right? I knew my strength, yeah, and I see how my strength could help me flourish in that particular career path. I knew my weaknesses, and I know what I could work on so as to fix me better there, and the opportunities I have already to get me in that space, and probably the maybe threats and all those stuff. So SWOT analysis for individuals are things that I encourage people to carry out. When you carry out this SWOT analysis, you get to understand better what is there for you. For example, say I have choice. I've never tried anything tech before and I'm new to it, or maybe I'm just coming into it. The first thing I want to do is to understand my strengths. So if I have choices around me and I see that, oh, I've always been this person that love colors. If I see a signpost or a design somewhere, I'm not just that's my kind of person as well. So when I see a design or a post somewhere, I'm not just looking at the write-up. I'm also trying to look at, like, why did this person choose blue over white? Why did this person choose black over this? So there are some people like that where when they see colors, they try to ask themselves questions. They try to be somehow critical about designs and all those things. You know already that this is kind of an opportunity. Yeah, this is kind of your strength already, that you play around colors, you play around designs. Why not? Then let me just try it out with design. If you're somebody that is very critical with mathematics and you feel like you want to play around some kind of very critical things and you like to build things from the scratch and get them to fly, then I think you should want to be looking at coding and see what was there for you. So for me, it's a personal decision. It's a personal analysis that you could ask yourself questions, then you come up with the results that could help you.
Okay, I love the SWOT analysis thing because I've never heard of doing that for personal reasons. But for everybody who doesn't know what a SWOT analysis is, I'm gonna share my screen and share. Like Daniel said, it's about strengths, weaknesses. But can you explain what you do for opportunities and threats?
Okay, so basically, I love the design you just shared. I think it explained it to a greater extent. Yeah, I saw that it divided the four different points into two brackets and named one bracket internal and the other one external. And that's like a super way of going about it. Yeah, just like you shared. So strength and weaknesses are more like internal, they are internal origin. Yeah. And these are attributes that they lies within, they lie within you. Yeah. So for example, I mentioned around, for example, you are somebody that is originally you are great at communication. Yeah, you're outspoken. These are things that you do already. These are your strengths. Yeah. So weaknesses are those things that you have that are more like a disadvantage. So these are weaknesses. And the essence here for this analysis is not to just know these things, but to know these things and know how it helps you to take actions. Yeah. So for example, if I discover my weakness, it is only for me an opportunity to develop my weakness to become a strength. Yeah. So the same way we have opportunities. Opportunities are basically things that you have externally that can give you a leverage. Things that you have externally that can give you a leverage. For example, if I have maybe in why I'm taking my courses on entry level, and I have a friend, a close friend or a family member that is also a designer, that's more like an opportunity for me, because you know that whatever I'm not able to grasp as quick as possible, there's somebody I could quickly speak to, and the person gives me like a 1 or 2 heads up that will help me pick up my courses and run through. So those are opportunities. Yeah. So why threats are those external things that can pose disadvantage. Yeah. Threats are those external things as well that can pose disadvantage. But most of the time, if you are carrying out more like an individual SWOT analysis, you should be focusing more on discovering your strengths, your weaknesses, and opportunities, because these are things that will give you leverage. Yeah, because my strength will guide me on what I think I can do. I don't want to use the word easily, yeah, but what I think I could go into and I find purpose. That's what strength like gives you, and heads up of what you can do, and you find probably purpose or kind of be like excited about. Let me use the word excited about. While weaknesses are basically, they may be your strength, but currently you've not developed them to the point where it should give you a result that you can call your strength. So it means that weaknesses are just a pointer for you to see what you need to work on. Yeah. So weaknesses are a pointer for you to see what to work on. So for example, if you are going to a career path that needs you to, maybe you are looking to be maybe you're looking to be a product manager, yeah, and you know you have issues with maybe communicating in a team, you have issues around communicating with team basically, and try to communicate taxes and projects, and try to manage both yourself and even others. That's like a weakness, but it doesn't mean that you should run away. It's only a pointer for what you should develop, so what you should pay attention to develop, because most of the time weaknesses, when they are properly developed, right, or worked on, they can be your greatest strength. Yeah. And opportunities that we've discussed about, and at the same time threats.
Yeah, that's very insightful. Thanks for sharing. And I think for people who need a little bit more help deciding on their weaknesses and strengths, like you said, you could ask some people, like if you know a family member who has a friend in tech, then you can ask them. But I don't know if you know this, but Entry Level has an AI chatbot. So if you're stuck on a question, you can ask it. So you don't really need connections in tech to get started. Like here, I was unsure about my strengths and weaknesses and what career I wanted. So I just asked, ask me questions, I'll tell you, and then you can make me a recommendation for next steps, like which course to take and learn from. So there's all these resources at your disposal, even if you don't have any connections in the tech industry. And of course, you can connect with random people on LinkedIn. You can connect with Daniel today on LinkedIn. But yeah, I just wanted to mention that. So, and the next question, you mentioned about demand and knowing yourself to land that career you love, but how much does the market demand, like the job demand, play into this? Because what if you're interested in like UX design, but you see in your country there's not much of a demand for UX designers, and there's more of a demand for developers? What do you do then?
I think some of the things that I didn't really mention in those SWOT analyses that are just exactly what you mentioned now. Yeah, because that's more like an external factor. So that's a threat. Yeah, that's a threat in a sense that you love a particular career path, but when you look at the ecosystem around you, it doesn't look like that particular path has more like a foothold, except you believe that probably you are looking to relocate in the nearest future, and you are going to another city or in another, maybe a country that offers those kind of or has a high demand in those kind of skills, and that's great. But in as much as you are trying to do those things as well, and you are trying to get what you want to get your hands on and discover yourself and all those stuff, you should also be very intentional about knowing what the market is saying in your location. Yeah. So what is selling in your location. For example, I'm in the UK. What are like the top 5 tech skills that are high in demand? I'll definitely want to do those research. I want to know so that I don't go into picking a skill that the demand is largely very low, and all that stuff. So you also want to be concerned around the market around you, what the market is saying. At the same time, one thing that I believe about tech skill is that tech skill is one of those future of work that that takes advantage of largely borderless work, where as much as the nearest surrounding around you may not be having high demand of those skills, but there's an opportunity for you to work with cross-borders company, right, or other countries looking for talent, and there's cross-border opportunities in this current because people call it future of work, but I choose to call it now of work because we're already in the future of work anyway. So I call it now of work. And so you could take advantage of those opportunities. But as much as possible, you should be intentional to know what the market around your environment is saying. What are the skills that are high in demand so that you could know what you could get into?
Okay, so it sounds like your main advice for complete beginners who are not sure what career they want in tech, they just know they want to get into tech, it's to do research on yourself, but also external factors like how much demand there is for that career.
Exactly. So there should be that intentionality to know what the market is saying. So I may be so excited about a particular niche in the tech ecosystem, but my my geography, the demand around my geography does not favor that. Yeah. So I also want to be considerate and probably play around something similar that is probably high in demand.
That's really good advice. And you also mentioned maybe a job isn't in demand in your country or area and you might want to relocate. But what about remote jobs? Do you have any tips or advice for people trying to land a remote job, maybe in another country?
Yeah, so like I mentioned, that we are already in the future of work, which is the now of work, how I choose to call it, in the sense that there's a lot of borderless work going on where you can be somewhere in West Africa and you are working with an organization in the UK, in the US, Canada, and there have you. So the truth is, it is what it is where we are, especially after COVID, where we have a lot of remote work growing by the day and becoming so very large, and all that stuff. So it's what it is, right? That we're in that particular space where we could play around and take advantage of the current situation around work, which is around remote work and all that stuff. And you can work with organizations across the globe, yeah, and also sell your skills for sell your value and your skills as well.
Okay. Um, any tips for like applying or like, do you anything different from trying to land a remote job versus an in-person job when you're applying for them?
So I think getting to land remote jobs, especially when it has to do with cross-border jobs, yeah, um, they are sites that you could take advantage of. They are, especially LinkedIn. Basically, LinkedIn is like the first bus stop for for anything jobs, yeah, be it remote or be it hybrid or be it physical. So LinkedIn is like the first stop for it. And why not take advantage of any other areas? You could make use of the Indeed as much as possible. You could make use of what's this called? So forgotten now. Just skip my mind. But most importantly, I think it's around online branding and putting yourself out there, because in most of the cases, you probably may not be the one looking for, if you properly brand your presence online. Sometimes you have recruiters reach out to you, or most of the time you have recruiters reach out to you, or you just have algorithm bring some of these jobs to you if you are quite good at branding yourself on some of these social media spaces, and you are doing great. So for example, whatever project you are taking, if you are working as an engineer or you are learning as an engineer at entry level, you should be having your codes pushed to GitHub and all those stuff, so that
I don't know if it's just me, but Daniel froze for me, so maybe let me know in the chat if it's just me or not. Okay, I don't think it's just me, but maybe while we wait for Daniel's
Yeah, same here. I can't hear him anymore.
Okay, thanks for sharing. But I did want to mention something, maybe while we wait for him to come back, because what he said about internet and branding is so important, and that's why we're saying portfolio is so important. So let me share my screen and show you what I'm talking about. So this, I interviewed so many successful entry level students, and these are all the students who have successfully landed jobs. Like this was one of the students I interviewed. Her name's also Jennifer. She's amazing. You should read her story. But she landed her first internship because her portfolio made her more confident and stand out from other people. And then she has so much advice for you guys. I can link this in the chat. And then here's another student, Eric. He shared everything on Twitter. His Twitter is really cool. Um, I'll find it later and link it to you guys, but oh, here it is. So like he shared his projects on Twitter and that's how he got hired. Like he shared this. This is his project with entry level on Twitter and got hired. Of course, you get a certificate, a portfolio project, and a reference letter to help with your job search. But since he posted it everywhere, including on LinkedIn, he got hired that way. So I really recommend you check out his story as well. He talks about how a recruiter messaged him and he thought it was a scam, but it turned out to be a real job, and now he works for a US company. And that's why I really recommend you do portfolio projects. And that's why all entry level courses have portfolio projects. Um, okay, so we have some questions about transitioning and what, some people with a finance background, a hardware background, an HR background, and wanting to transition. We actually have a career quiz to help you with that. So let me link this in the chat. So if you want to take a quiz to learn more about your strengths and what would be best for you, I would recommend going here and just learning from that. But of course, you can do more research. You can go to ChatGPT and be like, yeah, ask me questions about helping me break into tech. There's a lot of resources available to you. You can also join a community and ask for people's advice there. Entry level actually has a community um, of previous students, but also just people in tech. If you want to join entry levels community, I think the link to that is on our homepage somewhere. Yeah, community right here, but I can also link it in the chat later. It's very, very active. There's job postings as well. So let me share my screen for the community. I'm like giving you the insider access for entry level right now. But there's all these job postings, and that's how Jennifer, this student story here, landed her job because she saw a job posting here and she applied for it after messaging the person who posted it and landed the job as well. And then, of course, we have these event announcements and then some networking and, of course, some memes and networking in your country. So, yeah, I highly recommend checking out entry level. If you have any more questions about it, feel free to contact us at any time at support@entrylevel.net. But yeah. Okay, I think Daniel is back, so I'm gonna um, give him back the spotlight. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you,
Hey,
Jennifer.
Daniel.
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, I can. I'm just trying to figure
Okay.
out how to spotlight you. Yes. Okay. I think we left off at here, let me spotlight you. There you go. I think we left off at online branding and putting yourself out there. And then I started, when you froze a little bit, I started screen sharing all the student success stories who got jobs through LinkedIn and Twitter and just putting themselves out there. So maybe you can continue with that and I'll ask more questions.
Can you hear me? I think I stopped hearing you a bit. Okay, you are muted.
Yes, we can hear you now. Yeah. So I basically just said you were talking about online branding and putting yourself out there
Yeah,
if you want to expand on that.
I can hear you. Yeah. Okay. Just give me a second.
Sure. Yeah, okay. Also, for everyone here, I have left the student success stories I mentioned in the chat, and I'm also going to copy paste our Discord community link, and I also put the link to our quiz in the chat. But I can also email all of this to you, so don't worry if you're missing anything, because this will be emailed. And we also have a coupon code if you want to try one of our courses. I'll be sharing that at the very end and via email. So, okay, are you
Yeah.
back, Daniel?
Yeah, I'm back.
Okay,
I'm back.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you were speaking around online branding, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So I've seen a lot of people go into tech and they are building and they are not branding themselves, right? They are probably picking courses, learning one or two, and they are just, in their rooms, in their closets, and all that. So I think that, not just I think,
Not sure if it's just me, but he's frozen again.
Same. It's frozen. I
Okay.
can't see him anymore.
Okay, so it's not just me. Thanks for sharing. Okay, I don't know if Daniel can hear me, but I can ask him again what he was going to talk about. But in the meantime, in the chat, somebody's asking about how to break into tech as somebody who recently relocated. And I shared the best way. I think the best way is to start with an entry-level course. I took the data and do you want me to show you my portfolio projects that I made with entry level? Because I'm pretty proud of them. And I think it would really, this is why I think entry level could really help you. So maybe say yes in the chat if you would like to see my projects.
Yes,
Okay,
definitely.
this is my
Definitely.
favorite part. Awesome. I'm gonna screen share two projects that I made. The first one is
Okay.
my data analyst project. So this is what I made after my entry-level data analyst course. For context, the course is this one. And you basically, this is the curriculum. I learned how to clean spreadsheets and make a portfolio and everything. And this was the dashboard that I came up with. It's not my final portfolio, but it's the data visualization I made. In entry level, you learn how to use Tableau, but I liked using Looker Studio better. So after the course, I remade it in Looker Studio, and this is what I came up with. I'm so proud of it. And it was very easy to do. You could totally do this as a beginner. I'm not good at math or good with numbers, but I still made this. So that's my data analyst portfolio. And I took the UX design course, and this is my UX design portfolio. These are mainly just templates, and I made this as a complete beginner based on something I'm passionate about, which is marathon training and running. And I interviewed some random people I found on a Facebook group and made an app based on that. And
Wow.
thank you so much. If I was by myself, I would not have done any of this. I would have, just, watched YouTube tutorials or like read articles, but I would not have done these projects. But entry level, I feel like they pushed me into like actually talking to random strangers from Facebook because I had to interview people to finish my course and get my certificate. So it really pushed me to do all of this. And I had been trying to do a UX design portfolio for like 2 years. And only after entry levels course, because I was like, I need to meet this deadline, I need my certificate, did I create this portfolio. And I can sign into my entry level account right now and show you the feedback that I got because it was so nice. So I've already finished this course, but here, somebody said it looks more advanced than what's in the course. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's so nice because I just used the template. Brilliant work, good UI, UX. And yeah, I'm just so proud of it. Same with my data analyst one. Like this feedback is my favorite part because somebody said, the project is unique, it's on point, it's interesting, amazingly presented. And I got some good feedback for how to improve. So yeah. That's why I'm promoting entry level so much because I feel like it's really helped me, even though I work here and I might be kind of biased. So if you haven't taken a course, I highly recommend checking out all of our courses here.
Okay.
Great,
Yeah.
Jennifer. Great stuff.
Oh, thank you. Okay, you're
Great
back.
stuff. Yeah, I'm back. Sorry, I'm back.
Okay.
So we were talking around personal branding, and I've just been quiet and looking at what you're showing us, and that's super great. So, for example, I think that people should not just stay on social media for staying sake. Yeah, there's a lot you could do with social media. Because basically we spend a lot of our time on social media, but it's a place where we could brand ourselves and tell our stories. And sometimes when you go through the process of branding and telling your stories on social media, you just get yourself into those space where, right, you get to learn opportunities for yourself, and jobs for yourself. Now, recruiters like us, most of the time, we see when people share their portfolios on Twitter, talk about an amazing project that they are working on, what they are learning. And when those opportunities come up, yeah, one thing it does is that you could trickle back to, oh, I saw this one time. Let me check out on this person. Let me know if this person is quite even open to take up an opportunity. And apart from that, also this branding yourself on social media, where when we are running our searches, yeah, you could also appear on those searches, right? You could be great. You could be doing great stuff already, and you have all the experience as possible. But if your recruiter is searching on, say, LinkedIn, and your profiles are not popping up, that's on you. Somebody else's profile that is popping up, the person gets to have a chat with the recruiter, and the job is his or hers.
Okay, speaking of LinkedIn, do you have any tips for LinkedIn and what you should do so you appear on those searches?
Yeah, most of the time, and I always say, from the point of a recruiter, what can make you stand out on LinkedIn is how accurate you make use of keywords. So accurately making use of keywords in your profile helps you to stand out. It brings your profiles up when they run those searches. For example, if you are a UX designer, I'm expecting to see a lot of keywords that play around with UX design that should be on your profile that could help you appear in searches. And also, for some recruiters, they want to see what you've been talking about. They want to see what your post has been about around design stuff, right? So sometimes they could just have, from those posts and from those things you've been sharing, they could have an insight around the kind of work you've done in the past. They could probably have an insight around your skill set, which can also give you a leverage. And also around your portfolio that you share on social media, they could use some of those links to go to see some of the things that you've done. And if they're amazing and it relates to what they're looking for, why not? You get those opportunities.
I'm so glad you mentioned that because somebody I interviewed who was an entry-level student got an internship in 4 months within like starting to break into tech. Let me share her really quickly. Because she was posting on LinkedIn every single day for like it was 42 days when I interviewed her, but she posted for over 100 days. Like every single day she made a post about what she was learning with entry level. She was using all the keywords and she got an internship in just 4 months after starting her product management journey. So she was a complete beginner before. She posted daily on LinkedIn about what she was learning and then just landed an internship. So I highly recommend watching this interview and doing what she did. Yeah.
Great stuff.
Thank you. I'm so proud of all of our students because they're really amazing. But my next question for you is, do you see any common mistakes a lot of beginners make that you would say to avoid?
I think one of the things that I've noticed with believers, sorry, with beginners, is that the first thing I'll say is there's this form of imposter syndrome, yeah, where they feel like they are not there yet. I just can't have those discussions. I can't talk about myself on social media. Now, I'm excited that the testimony you just shared, yeah, about the entry-level student that has, or she has been talking about what she's working on a daily. And most of the time, when I meet beginners that are working on these things, yeah, the what I get to see from them sometimes is that they are not comfortable to talk about what they are working on. They are not comfortable to share what they have designed because they feel that they could get some, kind of criticisms and all that stuff. But that's the essence of this, all right? Those criticisms are there to help you look at what you are doing and try to fix it up, and look at where you're not getting it right. The truth is, if you keep it to yourself, you never know if you are doing it well or not. So trying to shun that voice of imposter syndrome and speak out and get to under the day. I usually say this: the day you decide to pick up a course in tech, you've already break into tech, right? You don't necessarily need to have 5 years experience before they now call you maybe someone that is into tech. The day you decide to pick up a course in tech, you already break into tech, because it means that you already start understanding what there is, right, to be into tech. So feel free to go out there to speak about yourself, brand yourself, talk about what you are learning, talk about where you are finding difficulties and how you were able to solve those problems. Put it out there. Shun the voice of imposter syndrome. That's like the first mistake that I see most people that are breaking into tech they face. They don't want to talk about what they are doing because they feel like they are not there yet. So shun that voice and go ahead and do what you want to do. Secondly is that while you are building technical skills, please don't shun or don't silence or pay attention towards soft skill. So there is this phenomenon that I discovered with people that are in tech, and even those that are entering tech. Funny enough, you will see this with people that have 5+ years experience in tech. They are so great with the technical skills, but soft skills, they are not there yet. So while you are building the technical skills, spend time to also build soft skills, right? Spend time to also build soft skills. There's this saying that technical skills will help you learn a job, but soft skills will help you grow on the job. And I believe in that saying. I believe in it. Technical skills, they'll help you get a job and learn a job. Yeah. But soft skills help you grow in a career, because most of the time, those that get to grow as fast as possible and become managers and become, leaders in their field, right? You understand that they don't just have just the technical skills, but they're also good around business skills, soft skills, and what have you. So basically, these are like the two mistakes that I've seen entry guys fall into most of the time, and I would like to speak out on it. And maybe thirdly is that the journey to land the first job, right, needs a lot of work. So there's this book that I once come in contact with, and the title of the book is Getting a Job is a Job, right? So getting a job is a job. So there are things that you need to understand about getting a job, especially the first job, right? It's not just a place where you just relax and you have learned and the job should come look for me. No, you go look for those jobs, right? So you need to learn the skills in how you go out for this job. How can I position myself to get a job? So these are the 3 things I would like to talk about that I've seen and young folks that are getting into tech face most of the time.
Okay, that's really okay. So there were a lot of value that you just dropped. So the first one is feeling like you can't talk about yourself on social media, but then if you do, it just means it shows recruiters that you're open to feedback and improving, which is something that they look for. And number 2 is paying attention to soft skills, because soft skills are often neglected, but they're what helps you grow. And I have more things I need to share on this because it just reminded me of so many more success stories. And I want to share these examples to show people like, it's not just random advice. It's like it actually works for entry-level students. So I'm going to share a screen, and this is Christiana. She was a new mother when she was taking an entry-level course, and she applied to like hundreds of jobs and didn't get anything back. But she said that she talked to recruiters and they watched her profile and saw that she was posting about like breaking into tech, but some of them did not refer her to jobs. And she said that if they said no to her and rejected her, she asked them for feedback and used that feedback to improve her profile so that, you know, in the future, she can land more jobs and have higher success rate. And she even said that one of entry level's LinkedIn resources helped her a lot. Because after she optimized her profile, 2 people reached out to her wanting to hire her. So I can link that LinkedIn resource for you. But the other story about soft skills is that so entry level certificates have these badges for soft skills. So this person, Michael, he actually landed a remote tech job because he was bragging about the soft skills, those badges on his certificate in an interview. And he's like, these are the soft skills I have. I don't just have my portfolio of hard skills, but I also have these soft skills. And he used that to get hired because it's like, why wouldn't you hire someone who has all of this and has the proof to show for it? And it was just his portfolio and the badges on his certificate. So thank you for sharing that, Daniel. Like, I love that there are these stories of students who've actually applied your advice already, and it worked very well for them. Okay, speaking of advice, what's your #1 piece of advice for complete beginners today? If there's like one takeaway that you want to leave them with, and like one thing that they should take action on immediately after this call, what would it be?
Pick up a course on entry level.
I appreciate it.
Because the truth is, there will always be, there will always be, I want to, but you could do that now. Yeah. So if I were you on the other side, I would have been on my browser now searching for entrylevel.net, right? And I should be scrolling down, and I should have about 3 or 4 courses that I was okay. I'll bookmark, and so I'll come back to you to choose one out of it. I think that's the first way to start into tech. The first way to start into tech is basically find out what you want for yourself, right? And if you are totally like not so aware of tech, or maybe this is the first time you're hearing about tech on this call, I think one thing you probably want to do is probably, maybe jump on the and make use of different AI. Just ask as much questions as possible, and you get results, and you get to understand what tech is about, what is the industry saying, and all those, what are the various niche in tech, and I'll just get those answers. Then secondly, start asking yourself questions. If you can be very technical to do the SWOT analysis for yourself, that's fine. But if you cannot go through that route, just ask yourself a few questions around what you think interests you. Where do you find more, like, from everything you probably will read online, where do you find a kind of excitement and all those stuff? So if it's design, if it's around product management, if it's around, I think a lot of people from the chat have been talking about data analysis. That's great. So so you just find a way to get that niche, then come on entrylevel.net and select a course, right? Take your course and complete your courses. Please take your course and complete your courses.
Yeah,
Trust much as possible. Take your course and complete your courses. And I'll leave this to you as an entry person into tech. Please be hungry as much as possible. When I say hungry, I mean that be hungry to learn this skill as much as possible. Do you know why I like to use the word hungry? I use the word hungry because, instead of using motivation, I try to use hungry. Instead of using be motivated, I'll say hungry, because most of the time, motivations sometimes die a natural death. But you see, hunger would never go off until you feed it with what to make it comfortable. Yeah. So when you are hungry to learn this skill, right, it will never die out until you finally learn the skill, right? So have the right hunger, get on these courses, because the truth is the market is there waiting for you. And I'm saying it, the market is there waiting for you. It's a global market, so it's there waiting for you, right? Would there be some, difficulties along the line? Yes, there will be. There will be times where you feel frustrated. There will be times where you feel, but you need to keep it up going. Yeah. And at the end of your journey, when you look back, you will be proud that you definitely took those actions. You definitely will be proud. So, like I'm saying right now, start going on entrylevel.net and start picking your courses and make sure you complete those courses.
I love that. Being hungry is what I also hear a lot of students say because they're successful and they stay consistent. They complete their course, they maybe take multiple courses after, and they consistently post on social media. Christiana, the new mother I talked about, she said it was very stressful for her because she had to take care of a new baby. She had to meet her entry-level course deadlines. And she also was reaching out to like 5 recruiters every single day on LinkedIn. And she did that every day and got rejected so many times. But eventually, the one yes changed her entire life. So that's what being hungry means.
Exactly. That's what being hungry means. Exactly. That's what being hungry. When the no comes and you keep on going until you get the result.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing. And I also took an entry-level course and can vouch for how amazing it is. So I appreciate you sharing that, Daniel. There is a discount code. So it is tech, all caps, 0302 for today's date, March 2nd. So use TECH 0302 for a discount on an entry-level course. It expires at the end of this month, so make sure you use it before then, and it can only be used once per person. So I'll email this out to everyone as well, so you'll get all the resources. But I think we can wrap this up today. My main takeaway was really about being intentional with yourself. And I intentionally took the entry-level course because I wanted to learn new skills to help with my current job. But yeah, thank you so much, Daniel, for your time. If people want to connect with you, they can do so on LinkedIn, right?
I will drop my LinkedIn and Twitter handle.
Okay. I
Yeah,
grabbed your
great. Thank you.
LinkedIn, but
Yeah, you shared the link already. So let me just drop my Twitter handle. So you could.
so it seems like there's a lot of tech people on LinkedIn and Twitter. So if you want to get involved in the community, you should follow Daniel. All right. I'll email this out to everybody who signed up and couldn't make it as well. So
Yeah.
if you want to stay connected, make sure to connect with Daniel and leave a connection note if possible, so he knows that you're from this call. Awesome. I think that's all for today. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. And thank you, Daniel, for sharing your amazing insights. I've never heard of the SWOT analysis for personal use before, so that was awesome. I really appreciated your time today. Thanks.
Thank you.